Good afternoon, everybody. I really don't know it is a privilege or it's a negative point to be the last speaker in the last session. Everybody is sleeping. I will try to use my body language so as to wake you a little bit. And I hope that our facilitator will give me enough time to use this body language. First of all, through the introduction, it was because, of course, she didn't know, I have to recognize and to confess that I am a production of an Orthodox humanitarianism since 1969. All my positions, including the political ones as an elected parliamentarian in Jordan, will go and come. But bringing me and growing me as a medical doctor was the action of my church, because I became from a poor family and it was impossible for my family to send me to a medical college and to finish medicine and afterward as a general surgeon. So the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem was doing humanitarianism in its believers since I know that church and since I've been graduated from the high school 1969. Now you recognized my age. Today is my birthday, the 65th birthday of my life. سنة حلوة. فخرجتوا برا بولي. بسم الله والابن والروح القدس إله واحد آمين. Of course, I am here with my capacity as a chairperson of the Central Committee of the so-called DSPR. DSPR is Department on Service to Palestinian Refugees, which is an integral part of the Middle East Council of Churches. I served 2 terms as member of the Executive Committee of the Middle East Council of Churches between 1994-2003, and I was always a member at that committee, and now I am the chairperson of it. Now, the mission of this department, which was established 1948, it is one from the first Christian-related non-governmental organizations since the so-called Nakba. Since then, our mission was very clear, and it attains and promotes acceptable, decent living condition for Palestinians, refugees, and needy, especially women and youth, living in camps and elsewhere in the Middle East region, based on Christian witness through service in education, health, environment, and capacity building sectors. It advocates to guarantee that their basic human rights are being realized and that they live in reconciliation with the larger communities in which they live until a just political solution is found where these refugees can exercise their right of return and right of self-determination. We have 4 main goals. You can go to the website of that department and saw those goals. I will not take time from the time which was given to me to address those points, but I will summarize. We are working in 5 areas in the region. We have an office in Gaza. We have an office in Nazareth. We have an office in Jerusalem, West Bank, in Lebanon, and Jordan. The total budget which this department is working is about the pledges between 2.3 million until 2.5 million. In the past good years, where there was a real partners at that time and not donors trying to implement their own agendas by giving money, our budget was about 4 to 5 million. Unfortunately, it is reducing now, but still we are surviving and we are trying to do our best to help our people, irregardless they are Christians or Muslims. The beneficiaries of our programs In the 5 areas, 95% of them are Muslims. This is the coexistence, and this is the Christian witness which we are trying to prove in the region so as to strengthen the Christian presence, which is nowadays under dangerous because of the so many things which is happening. Orthodox Christians are also, of course, an integral part of their societies. And together with other Christians, they share with others the difficulties and the challenges facing their society. Nowadays, the challenges are not the impact of ongoing conflicts on ethnic, religious, and national groups, as well as issues of persistent problems of inequality and national groups, as well as issues of persistent problems of inequity and poverty. Poverty buckets are on the rise, and we make it a point to alleviate the suffering and pain of people by providing them with nourishment and sustenance. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict also poses itself as a big problem in our region. And aside from immediate destructive effects of this conflict, as witnessed in the last Gaza war, are the repercussions for the population left without roofs, for young children traumatized, for the economy devastated, among others else. The rise in extremism, religious groups, and the distinction of nation states such as Iraq, Syria, Libya, and Yemen now is leaving its impact across the region and creating multiple humanitarian crises that are in need of immediate intervention. There are 2 aspects of our intervention. One is for immediate emergency relief, and the other for sustainable development. Immediate emergency relief happens with the refugees from Syria, as well as from Iraq, as well as from the internally displaced in Gaza after the last war, which I visited following that war to give the basic and to see, and I will put a film of 6 minutes during the discussions and questions and answers. It is a non-professional video. We done it while we've been moving with the car as a team attending for the first time the so-called Palestinian Forum of the ACT Alliance, which was held in Gaza before about 4 months. So we went and visited with our partners the region there, and we took from first-hand point what are the needs of the people there. Sustainable development that we carry out involves education and vocational training. And by the way, our vocational training in Gaza is the best. And all its graduates, 95% of them, although they are students going out from schools, we are collecting them back, bringing them in this vocational training, and give them the experience for the 3 years with a certification recognized from the Gaza authorities, from the Palestinian authorities, as a profession, and they are working and they are building their own houses with this kind of work which they are doing. We also are creating jobs for young people. It's a very big challenge for the whole of the Middle East. It is expected that until 2030, we are in need of over 1 million jobs, 100 million jobs in the Arab world. 100 million jobs in the Arab world. The question here is how to contribute to creating these jobs. Orthodox Christian schools and institutions, which they need a lot of help, because our churches, because of the situation of the occupation, and because the situation of the insecurity and instability in the region, the main income of my church is tourism. And because tourism nowadays have been destroyed as a factory, okay, my church is really suffering. They are thinking that the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate has the 30% of lands in the region. This is a reality. But with the blessing of God, our new elected patriarch, Theophilus III, have insisted that these lands is belonging to the church which survived 2,000 years, irregardless which government came. Ottomans, Israeli, Jordanians, whatever other political party will be there, the church is still continuing to have the same properties with the same power as the church leaders. So we are in a very bad need as a church, because of the situation around us, for support, especially for our schools and institutions. Employee people of the religious and groups, but at the same time, there is more need on job creation. It should be noted that economic growth is slowing, physical buffers are depleting, unemployment is rising, and inflation is mounting in aid of the region's most vulnerable economies: Egypt, Tunisia, Iran, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Yemen, and Libya. This is what we are suffering and what the region around us is having. The idea behind vocational training is to encourage young people to acquire skills and to have certain professions. This way they can find employment, even self-employment, and feel proud of themselves. Can we do more on this? Yes. But help DSPR, the Department of Service to Palestinian Refugees, and other similar organizations to become the address in the Middle East for creating this kingdom of program. In Gaza, we have high-quality vocational training centers that can be a model to other parts of the Middle East. Why I am concentrating in helping DSPR? Because unfortunately, nowadays our partners, with their different agendas, they are coming to our region, opening their own offices, Christian-related organizations, trying to support non-Christian NGOs because of their own agendas. This is affecting negatively the Christian presence in the region. We have many professionalism, on voluntary basis. I was always, during all my life, I never was an employee in any NGO. I always, since my graduation from medicine, 1976, I am working with my church on voluntary basis, regardless the negative effect of that on my usual life. So DSPR and all Christian-related organizations, Asabil, Anglican, active NGO is working, and they are in very bad need of help. But unfortunately, and we have to be frank with ourselves, all our assistance are coming from Anglican churches. There is no Orthodox money coming except of the IOCC. And the IOCC have their own offices and they have their own agenda. And they are part from the local NGOs because they are registered even legally in Jordan as an international NGO. One other issue is that of the religious and ethnic groups, such as the Christians and Yazidis in Iraq and the Christians in Syria. Some of these communities have been devastated and they were forced to leave their original cities and homes. There is need to deal with the trauma, and I understand that the churches in Iraq are doing their work. But what about helping these communities rebuild and reconstruct once there is a peace in both Iraq and Syria? This is going to be a major challenge to all of us. Aside from the humanitarian involvement of the Orthodox Christians in the Middle East, and taking into consideration that Orthodox and other Christians were always part of the national, political, economic, cultural, and literary history of the Arabs and the Middle East, the question becomes, what is our role as citizens in our respective societies to develop a future vision for these societies on a basis of equal citizenship? We are not a minority. We are indigenous people. We've been there before Islam. This must be understood in the West, in the United States, and in everywhere. We don't want to migrate from our region. The land of Jesus Christ must have Christians. Without Christians, it means nothing. It means nothing at all. Churches and stones is not enough. You must have people believing in that. The future vision needs to be of a society that is open to all its citizens, respecting them and expecting from them the fulfillment of their obligations. It should be a society that is based on the rule of law and on respect of human rights and on accepting differences and different opinions and multiple voices. Thank you for giving more time. The 15 minutes passed. So Orthodox, so Orthodox Christian humanitarian involvement cannot simply be humanitarian, as it has also to consider the future vision of the society. Since we are part of the society, then we should be active with all other groups and associations, irrespective of religious and political background, to encourage and the development of this kind of vision. We cannot be sincere to our orthodoxy if we are also not sincere to our society. The two go together, and amidst the difficulties and challenges in the Middle East, we are called to work on the two together. Your collegium comes at a very crucial time, and as we examine our humanitarian work, we also need to think of ways to support each other and to increase our effectiveness, especially so since the Middle East region will take some time, if not years and decades, to go back to normal. Thank you so much for this initiative, and I hope that we all will contribute to positive and constructive ways to add to the effectiveness of our efforts. Thanks a lot for calling me again to this meeting. I took 16 minutes, my dear, thank you. And I have a film in which it is, we put it just without voice. hosted, of course, in our church, in St. Porphyrios Church in Gaza, about 1,000 families. There was a phone to our patriarchate: please, you have to evacuate them, otherwise we will bombard the church. He told them, I can't evacuate, do whatever you like. There is a picture now, they bombard the cemetery which is near the church. And I have a pictures for the Tafus Ketastramena. And His Eminence Archbishop Alexius, he had a thanking letter from the General Speaker of the Arab Parliament. Thank you for your patience.